And another reason why you should lean into the run game, well, you get a little bit healthier along the offensive line. Let's discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Free and available on all podcast platforms. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, Michael Tarquin, looks like he's going to be back in the lineup. I'm playing him at right tackle. I'm continuing to ride Logan Howland over at left tackle. Let him continue to develop. Let him get a great challenge that is the Alabama Crimson Tide in front of him, and just see if he can continue to show the improvement that he's shown.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've noticed is that Logan Howland and Heath Ozida have done a really good job together meshing over the last couple of games on that left side, and I'm 100% with you. They have graded very well with PFF, and I would want to ride that. That is probably the best thing we've had going in continuity. Now, this is going to be our 10th configuration in 11 games. Gosh, that just sounds so just harsh to say out loud. But look,
and people want to question the offensive line coach's job.
Yeah, as if he hasn't had to keep switching it up because people keep just unfortunately get injured. And the crazy part is that it's the injuries that's just happening on one side of the ball. It's not like we've seen this all over both sides of the ball a lot. I mean, we did lose 2 DBs, but for the most part, all of our injuries has been on one side. It's just luck of the Irish, right? We've got snake bitten as stated. So for me, I want to see those two together from now on that left side, because I feel like that, like you said, the continuity is starting to grow there. Troy Everett has, of course, been kicking butt at center, so I'm happy with him. Waywu has been your most consistent and most healthy. Your most consistent as far as good play has been Tarquin. So now that Tarquin's off the list, he's playing on the right side, make sure he's out there. And at that point, as we talked about in the last segment, hand the ball off and run it to that side of the ball. Go run it right through him and see what happens. I bet you things open up better. And it's going to be funny if this offensive line, because of the continuity we have, and they play better this week, John, how many people are going to be coming in our comments saying, why haven't we seen this all season?
That's true. It's true. I mean, we've seen improved play over the last several weeks. And so there's no reason to expect that it won't continue to see that same trajectory. I mean, you're getting back Michael Tarquin, who for much of the season was your best offensive lineman, your most consistent offensive lineman. Yep. Now you can throw him next to Febechi Wiwu. You've got a very experienced right side with Troy Everett, a very experienced center. And then you've got your 2 young guys on the left side who have shown steady improvement. I mean, again, it's against a really good Alabama defensive front, but you've played good defensive fronts each of the last, say for Maine. Ole Miss was a good defensive front. Mizzou, maybe not as explosive as of a group of pass rushers as Ole Miss or Alabama has, but a good defensive front. And so you're continuing with these challenges. And honestly, this might be the biggest test that you have over the last month of the season. Mm-hmm. But if you can show out in a positive way, I think that really sets you up with a really nice trajectory going into the offseason and even going into the LSU game next week. But if this group of 5, if they can play well, I feel a little bit more comfortable with what you've got going on going into LSU. And I think Jackson Arnold is going to feel more comfortable with Michael Tarquin back on the right side because, listen, Spencer Brown, an okay player, not a very good pass protector. And it's hard to feel comfortable when you have a not a very good pass protector on one side of your offensive line.
Especially if they're right in your face, like you see them, you're watching it happen and unfold in front of you. That's probably why he was tucking the ball so quickly, ready to go fall down, in which I hate that. We need more stepping up in the pocket, let them go around you type deals and then throwing it.
Yep.
But like you said, Logan Howland has played so much better over the last couple of games since his debacle against Ole Miss. He's shown up and shown out. And so you want him. He played well to me against Missouri. Did fine, of course, against Maine. That's where he really started to get more comfortable and be okay with what he's doing. But you go ahead and let him play against Alabama. Let him get his feet wet. He's got the size. I mean, he's 6'6". He's 300 and almost 20 pounds. He's a big boy. Let him go out there and go up against some of the best. and get used to it, used to fighting, and get himself ready. Him and Ozada, you get them both going. I think that, like you said, this will be what you'll be looking at going into LSU. And then honestly, if they show up well enough and they keep training hard, hit them weights, work out hard, they could be the guys next year. Because I wouldn't mind going with them going into next season because of what I saw against Ole Miss. And Ole Miss's defensive line has been cooking just about everybody this year.
Yeah.
We saw what they did against Georgia, and Georgia has a good offensive line. If we can do that again and protect against them again, not for just 2 quarters, but full 4, I'm fine with this line.
Yeah. And again, you just want to see improvement. And you're going to get an influx of talent this offseason that's going to help add to the depth and the competitive depth and even maybe some starters. But for this game, for this week, listen, Alabama's pass rush grades a little bit higher than Mizzou's on Pro Football Focus. Not significantly higher, just a little bit higher, but is a much better run defense than what Missouri has. So it's going to be a huge challenge for these guys. And I think, listen, I think they're going to be up for it. Am I going to sit here and say they're going to go out there and dominate Alabama? No, but I think they're going to find some success, and I think they'll find success in the run game. That's why I'm pounding the table for the run game. Let offensive linemen do what they want to do, which is run block. They don't want to pass block as much as they want to run block. So let them run block. And when you do drop back to pass, let's get some quick hit stuff going so they're not having to try and pass block for 3, 4, 5 seconds against a really good Alabama pass rush.
Speaking of that, I got a question for you. GT counter, inside zone, which do you prefer to see in this game? I know, right? With this, like, I know that we don't want to try to do too much with them, but at the same time, you got to throw some stuff, some wrenches out there to confuse the defense. The
GT
smart.
Counter, I feel like, was having more success against Missouri when they were running that to the left side. You know, I felt like that was creating more opportunities and more openings, but I don't know, man. That's a complicated question because
it is.
Yeah.
Because when I was thinking about it, I'm like, I kind of want to see more GT counter. Give me some pulls and use your size and speed and go run through a dude. Right? All I've said is I want to see people get muscled. I want to see people push people around. I want you to try for it. Show me that you're going to put the effort out there. Even if you hit the dude, it's stale. If you do enough to slow it down to where the running back can get out to the hole and go, I'm satisfied. All I want to see is the effort, and I want to see that y'all are willing to put the muscle behind you and playing against, if you really think about it, potential NFL talent. These last 2 games, and we talked about this coming during the bye week. These 2 games is NFL tape. This is tape against teams that will have players that will most likely make it to the league. This is how you prove yourself. So these offensive linemen, if you want to go out there and show, you showed some good stuff against Ole Miss until the second half. You showed some good stuff against Missouri. Show some good stuff against Alabama and LSU, man. People are going to start paying attention to you and wondering, okay, there's a possibility with this guy when it comes to going into next season. And then you may start getting some really good eyeballs. Then you can really continue to prove yourself. But yes, muscle. That's all we need. Yeah.
And please, nothing behind the line of scrimmage to Bauer Sharp. No tight end screens, no handoff.
Don't even give him the option.
Just nothing. None of that, please. Joe John Finley, I know you're the tight end coach. I know Bauer Sharp's your guy that you recruited, but just stop. Just don't. Please. Just please.
Yeah.
For the sake of all of us.
Please.
Please. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay on Twitter at Unfair Sports. Check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. Follow me at John9Williams. You can also read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. Again, you can follow the show at Locked On Sooners on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I say TikTok. I said TikTok. But wherever you do the social media thing, we are there. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner.